Previously on the channel, we built this pretty cool little fab table setup. I like it, and it got us through quite a few projects, but it's time for an upgrade. We're not getting rid of it, we're just going to modify it a little bit. So we built this thing out of plate, and as most of you know, plate's not perfectly flat. So to fix this on this table, I tried using this square tube and pulled the plate down. That minimized it, but it didn't fix it entirely. I also want some fixture holes, so let's take care of that. Now to fix this, it's a lot of work, and it's a lot of drilling, and this is a job that's going to require a mag drill. So if you need an excuse to buy a mag drill, here's your excuse. So what I need to do first is lay out for a whole bunch of bolt patterns where we're going to drill and tap this 3/8 plate so that we can bolt down a whole bunch of fireball fixture plates. Now, these fireball fixture plates that I'm using are actually a prototype, and the ones that they have now are significantly better. They are a lot easier to adjust. You don't have to do a bunch of shimming, and they're a lot larger. They're in rectangle form. I'll put a link to those down in the description below. But for these ones, these were their prototypes. So they're not all exactly the same, but they are the same bolt pattern, the same spacing, and the same square dimension. But some of them are a little taller than others, and there's some other variants that I'm going to have to overcome as we go. So all I did was lay out the table in a grid, and I just made sure my grid was perfectly square, and then all these plates should theoretically just bolt down. Now to shim the plates, what I did, I know my table's tall in the center, which is what we tried to fix with that square tube earlier when we built the table. So I just made sure I used the tallest plates on the outside, and then I'm going to shim all the inside plates to match it. So I just put my straight edge, I bolt all the plates down in a row, and then I put all my shims underneath the straight edge on top of the plate over the bolts where they would go. And that's going to get us really, really close to having these plates as flat as possible. So now all we have to do is just unbolt the plate, slide the shim underneath, bolt it back down, and theoretically it'll be exactly where the straight edge was above, since we're just shifting those shims from top to bottom. And that works out pretty good. Some minor adjustments end up being made, but for the most part, that gets us really, really close. Now you'll see I'm just using a crow's foot to lift the plate a little bit. That way I don't have to actually remove the plate, which you can do and just lift it straight up and set it straight down. But I was able to just use that crow's foot to just lift it up just enough to slip those things under and then move to the other side. That way I'm keeping everything nice and straight and in line as we go. So now I'm just double checking our work, and there's a couple places where we need to add some shims. I'm using 64th shims. This is kind of one of those things where I couldn't really fit it under there before, but once I got it all bolted together and we squished the shims down a little bit, it turns out I could have fit those, and so that's what we ended up doing, just like that. So this looks pretty cool, I think. So now I got to grid out the center. So I already had it all laid out. I just need to do all the drilling. So what I start with is I just do a pilot, and then I'll go through and do the tap drill size, and then we'll go through and tap them. So I'm using the Weaver drill to do the drilling and the pilot drilling, which you can see here. So you can see that was a long and tedious process, but there's your little centering bit there. Those are great because they don't wander on you. Now I'm just drilling at 5/16, and then we'll go through and tap them 3/8/16. I hit the square tube there, so we got to be really careful. That's a drill bit breaker when you're doing stuff like that, so we got to go real slow once we go through the plate, but I wanted to give myself clearance so we don't break the tap off later. Now this Weaver drill, I actually reviewed it on the channel, comparing it to the slugger that I use a little bit later on when we're doing the tapping. And it's a really, really good little drill press, mag drill. It's not a commercial drill, but I've used it a lot. I have no problems with it, and then I have modified it since I did that review, and the handle is now on the opposite side of the controls, which I like so much better, and that makes this thing my favorite go-to drill because it's quite a bit lighter than that slugger is. Now, if you have one of these, all you have to do is just take the shaft out, and you can literally just flip it over, and then you can just put it back together the way it normally is. You're not modifying anything, you're just flipping the part over. So that's a Tapmatic that you're seeing there. So that will automatically reverse when you start going up. Those are really, really cool. You have that plate there that keeps the Tapmatic from spinning. You can see it there running on the side of the Slugger. This is pretty much all I use the Slugger for anymore, is just this Tapmatic. That thing just stays in there because it is so handy. But they are very limited purpose, and to justify buying one of those, you have to you have to do a lot of this stuff, and a lot of people, that is not going to be a justifiable expense unless you can find one at an auction, which is what I did. Another cool thing about that Tapmatic, you don't have to be perfectly centered. It does self-align with the pilot hole, which is another nice thing, so that you tend to not break as many drill bits as even doing it by hand. So it's kind of crazy, you just powering through and blowing through like that, but it works, and it works quite well. And as usual, I'll put a link below for a Tapmatic. They're very, very cool tools, but you'll see the price and you might cringe a little bit. I don't know if there's too many import-style Tapmatics that you can get. I haven't really come across any, but I haven't looked either because I've had this one for quite a long time. So now all I have to do is the center. So I'm just going from one side to the other now that I have my two rows on the outside, and I'm just going to go across, and then we're going to double check it by going kitty corner, cross, back and forth, and all that fun stuff. So this still could be out. The table still could be twisted and check out with a straight edge like this. And if it is, then we may have to adjust that later on in the future. And the only way we're going to know that is by building like a frame on it and flipping the frame over. And if the frame is twisted, then we're going to have to adjust. We can use a laser level or something like that, but if this table's off, it's going to be off so small you're not going to be able to see it with a laser, not with a conventional laser level that you'd buy at Home Depot. So this thing actually checked out pretty good, and I'm really, really happy with it. There it is, all complete. That looks neat, but we're not done. We are not done yet. We got a little bit more to do. We're going to add a few more feet onto this table and also add a table saw to it. So this is going to have a built-in table saw, and there it is right there. It's an oldie, an old cast iron Craftsman. Pretty good. It has the sheet metal sides on it, which we're going to remove. We're going to replace those with plates, and then we're going to have to fixture drill those ones ourselves. Unfortunately, at the time, the Fireball, they were out of stock of the Fireball rectangles, which is what I wanted to use on the side of the table saw there, but they were out of stock, so I just made some, which is unfortunate. But in your situation, if you guys are thinking about doing something like this, I highly recommend this table saw edition. That is the handiest thing in the world. You'll see a little bit later on how that thing just tucks down. And it's like you don't have a table saw there, but if you need it, you have the world's best table saw with a huge runoff using the rest of the fixture table for it. So I just disassembled it, made myself some angle iron. That's how we're going to attach our steel to our cast iron. So we're not going to try to weld cast iron to steel. So we bolted on our angle irons, and that gives us something to weld to. And then the table itself is going to bolt on to our table. And there's my quick little rough drawing. It doesn't look very nice, but it worked, and all the dimensions worked out. So all I have to do is cut all my square tubes to those dimensions, and we'll throw it together on our nice new fixture table. So that's going to make fabbing this thing up really, really easy. And now it's time for our very first fab project on our fixture table, and I have to say, I already love this thing. This is so nice, just being able to have instant squares, making those legs instantly square just by setting the pins. And at the time, I was just using hitch pins. In fact, I still use those hitch pins every once in a while on it, but I do have proper stops now instead of having to use those hitch pins. So installed it, and then took our brace off the front, and now we'll install our saw and get that thing mounted up in there and get it level and all that fun stuff, and add our front piece that will box in the saw. So the saw is technically removable. It wouldn't be super easy to remove it, but technically we could unbolt the saw and slide it out the bottom. I added extra feet onto it, and everything's adjustable. This is one thing with this table. It's fairly rigid, but if we were to move it, it would wobble on the floor, and then if we were to set something heavy on it, it would probably bend. And then we'd have to reflatten the entire table. So if we ever move this table, we always want to make sure all those feet are touching the ground before we set weight on it. It's rigid enough to stay flat, but it's not going to be rigid enough to stay flat if you put a bunch of weight on it. So now you can see my angle iron. What those angle irons there do, that's for our backstop. I think, isn't that what you call those on the table saw? I'm not a woodworker. Anyway, that's for our backstop, and they had to be offset down like I'm showing you there and offset out so that that backstop will work. I'm simulating what the table saw had, but now the table saw is significantly wider than it used to be. So that's why I made my own angle irons for the front and the back that'll go full width. So now we're just going to fixture hole everything. So I added those plates onto the side, and now we have to match our fixture holes from the rest of the table down to the table saw area. And we're also going to add fixture holes to the table saw itself. So sorry if that hurts your feelings, but I'm going to drill a bunch of holes in this table saw. And to do this, it's an annular cutter on our Weaver drill. And this thing has no problem cutting this. That's 3/4 inch A36 plate that we're doing. And you'll see like it goes so fast. I'm chamfering the holes with a hand drill, and it goes so fast it looks like they just magically get chamfered, but that is a second step. That's not happening from the drill press, even though you can't really see me do it. And then you just got to pay attention where you're drilling the holes in the table saw. There's a few of them that you'll see I skipped, and that's because underneath there, that like the motor is in that very big void there, and then there's a few others that you have to drill a little bit cautiously not to go too deep on them and just kind of knock out the center of it. But the fixture holes are there and they look pretty good. So now I'm just adding measuring tapes to our slides so that I can just quickly adjust our fence. That's what it's called, a fence, not a backstop. I can adjust our fence to the right dimension, and it's actually opposite. I got a reverse tape measure for the other side, which was pretty cool. I found that on Amazon. I'll put that in the link description below too. That way the numbers are going up from right to left on it, all by itself. So that's pretty cool. So the buyer's toolbox underneath, that was a leftover from the World War II Ford Wrecker that we built on the channel a little while back. All right, guys. Well, I can actually give an honest review on the use of this thing. And I've been using it for quite a while now. I've filmed this I did the work to this table quite a while ago, and we've used it quite a bit since then. A lot of stuff, you'll see it in the channel. If you followed the 4x4 RV build and stuff, this table was already done. In fact, we used that table saw quite a bit on it as well, on that build. So anyway, this thing is absolutely awesome. One other thing with this 2-inch center, a lot of these old vices, they actually can fit down there. So I just flattened off the feet, and then I just used these little ball screws to hold it down, and then I can just easily remove it and then put it down wherever I want, anywhere on the table. So that'll fit anywhere. So obviously you don't want to start banging on it, or you'll throw our plates out of adjustment. Those shims are somewhat soft, and that is something I've noticed. If you pull real hard on one of the plates, you actually squish the shims, and you have to kind of adjust the shims after that. And that's another problem you won't have with the Fireball. The way the new Fireball plates mount, they're more of an adjustment, but they're not going to be squishing stuff and moving around on you. This doesn't move around too much, and I try not to drop stuff heavy because it is just a square tube frame under it, so it wouldn't take a lot to bend this table. So I have to be a little bit mindful of it, but for everything we're doing on automotive stuff, this thing has been absolutely fantastic, and I absolutely love our table saw. I don't know what I'd do. This was always a placeholder for a real Fireball table. But man, if I get a real Fireball table, I'm going to have to incorporate a table saw into it, because I don't think I could live without that. I didn't think I'd hardly ever use it. I use it all the time. It is fantastic. In fact, my only complaint, and it's something I can address, is I need to put a bevel on this front edge. Every once in a while, thin materials will come down and they catch on there when running it through. So I need to put a little bit of an edge on there so it'll slip back up and on top. Thicker materials, it's not an issue, but for thin stuff that's flexible, it does catch every once in a while, and it's kind of annoying. So if you have a plate table, or you haven't built a plate table because you knew it wouldn't be as flat as you wanted, at least you have an option now. So you can go ahead and build that table knowing that you can upgrade it later. I couldn't be happier with mine. So I hope you found this helpful, and we'll see you on the next one.